Hi everyone, this is Krishna. Today I would like to build an autocomplete directive in AngularJS using jQuery API. Autocomplete is a feature in which an application predicts the rest of a word a user is typing. You can see a nice list of options that pop up as you are typing into the text box. So for that, I wanted to create an Angular app, a controller and a directive, and want to tie this controller and directive to my Angular app. Then I want to use my directive to make an ajax call to the URL I pass in and get a list of options I want to show up as soon as I type something into the text box. So first let me create the Angular app. Okay, so in order to work with AngularJS and jQuery, I want to include these 4 scripts into the head portion. Okay, so after including these 4 scripts, now I'm good to work with both Angular and jQuery. Let me create a app here. Okay, then ng controller, so I'll have my JavaScript file in which I want to declare my app and controller and a directive. Okay, that is my Angular app. Then have my controller. I'm naming it as autocomplete controller. Then injecting $scope into this. Okay, my controller is ready. So in my HTML, I want the user to enter a location. So as soon as he starts typing into the location, he should get this particular list of cities along with their state and their country. So have a label. Okay, so I want to build the Angular directive on this input element, so I can use this directive in all the input elements I have in my application. It's a reusable directive. Okay, so app.directive, naming it as autocomplete directive. Okay, so I want to return, I want to restrict this directive as an attribute, then have an isolated scope for my directive and a link function. Scope, element and attribute. So in my link function, I'm going to use the jQuery API of autocomplete on my element. So element dot autocomplete. See, this API autocomplete has different options which we can use, different methods, events and extension points. Some of the options I'm going to discuss today are source and min length. and the events, I'm going to discuss about the select event, uh, and we can even have a look at focus event. So the options are like source. So the source option can take a list, or it can be a function which would return a list. Okay, request and response would be the parameters here. So in this source function, I'm going to make a ajax call. So for that, I'm going to inject $HTTP and use the same here. Okay, so the method will be a JSON P, and the URL for which I want to make a ajax call will be the scope.url. So this URL is it's something which I'm going to pass in from my controller to this directive. We'll see that in next few minutes. Then I'm having my success function of this ajax call, and my response will be in the form of data. Okay, so I want to pass this data to the response. So which are the response I get back after this ajax call? I want that data to be the source to my input text box. Okay, and the other option which I mentioned is the min length. So the min length would be 3, which means after the source function it should have the min length. Okay, so the minimum length is going to be 3, which means at least there should be 3 letters for this ajax call to kick in. Okay, and now let us see how we can pass the URL from the controller. So here, before I forget, let me have the autocomplete directive on this element as an attribute, and then the URL is going to be location URL, and this location URL I'm going to define that in my controller. This is going to be my URL. So this is kind of a web service that is provided to get the list of cities along with their state and country. Okay, so now I passed in the URL too, and then here I even wanted to have my params that will be appended to my URL. So the search term would be q, that is the request.term. So this request.term is the letters which you type in into the text box. So the 3 letters that you type in into the text box, and this particular term would be appended to your URL, the URL which you passed in. Okay, now before I forget, let me include the app.js here. Okay, now let us see how this works. Okay, so I started typing 3 letters. I see an error here. It is, so let me go and check that whether my ng controller names match. No, they don't match. Okay, now let me reload this again. Okay, it seems to work now. Now if I enter 3 letters, still can't see. I forgot to take in the URL here, sorry about that. So I'm passing the URL here, so it should be at the rate Yep, now it works. So you have this list of cities that you can select. Okay, now let me extend this video to explain what $apply does and where it is useful. So I want to have a ng model here. Location is my model. Then I want to print my location. Okay, and type var. So you can see, if you observe, although I selected one of the cities from the list, my DOM doesn't get updated with the updated model. So first, whether is my model getting updated? No, the model is not getting updated. So in order to update your ng model, I want to have ng model as a required attribute on my element. Okay, now that you have this, and as I told you, there are several events in the AutoComplete API. I am going to discuss about the select event here. So the select event takes the event and the UI as the parameters. So in this, I want to update my ng model with the selected value. So for that, I want to pass my ng model equals. So here I can just say scope.ng model should be updated with my ui.item.value. So ui.item.value will have the value which I selected from the list of cities. So this says, this piece of code says that as soon as I select one of the options from the list, please update my ng model with the one which I selected. Now let us see whether it updates or not. Nope, it still doesn't update my model. Rather, I can say it updates my model, but it doesn't update my DOM. The necessity of $apply comes in. So what exactly happens here to update the DOM? The reason behind my DOM not getting updated is there is no Angular event to update this, but to update my DOM. So generally what happens in Angular is, whenever it sees this type of ng model or interpolation, it add all these variables are considered to be a watch variables. So whenever there is a change, so whenever there is an Angular event like a ng click or ng change or any of the inbuilt directives of Angular, a $apply method is called, and in which you have the digest cycle that is running. So what does this digest cycle do? This digest cycle goes through all the watch variables and ask each of the watch variables whether they changed or not. If one of them says that it changed, it again runs a full digest cycle. This goes on continuously and until there are no other variables that change. It publishes all the changes to the DOM. So here in our case, if you observe, when you type vir, although my ng model got updated, my DOM is not updated with the updated value. This is because there was no Angular event that happened. So what we can do here is, let me go and call the $apply function. Okay, there is scope, and see now what happens. Okay, now it gets updated. This is because I'm manually triggering an Angular event so as to run a digest cycle, and in this digest cycle it would ask the location watch variable whether it got updated or not. So location variable says that yes, I got updated, please publish my changes onto the DOM. So then it comes and once the digest cycle is done, it updates my DOM with the updated value. So I can there are small changes here. So what are the code that play right here? It is not properly handled. So if at all there is some exception here or anything like that, there is no try catch mechanism that is going on here. So in order to have that, I can have this piece of code in a function, and I'll pass that function to the $apply method. So what happens in this $apply is it executes all the code that is in this function, and then all this code will be in your try block, and if there is any exception, have a catch to catch the exception. So this is good way of using $apply. Now let us see. Okay, hope you guys understood how $apply works, and you can also do this, achieve the same functionality in different ways. One more method is just to have the ng model here, as it is a required one, and instead of using $apply, you can just directly say ng model dot $set view value of UI dot item dot value. Let us see if this works or not. This works because the $set view value function indirectly calls the $apply method, which will run the digest cycle for you. So in this case we are triggering the Angular event, and in this case the set view value method indirectly calls the apply function for us. And there are multiple ways of doing this autocomplete functionality, but hope this helped some of you. Thank you.